Hey everyone, hope you're having a great Monday and had a great weekend. I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I've been trading stocks for 13 years, crypto for 6 years, using technical analysis, and we're going to do that today. Looking at Bitcoin, altcoins, and the Bitcoin stocks with where we currently stand. There are some altcoins that are starting to show some weakness, and a lot is going to be determined, of course, the direction that Bitcoin breaks this sideways range, because Bitcoin has now been sideways for 3 weeks at this point, with the key support 29.4 and the key resistance 31.5, pretty much a triple top at resistance and a little base of support trying to be established right around the upper 29,000s. And where we last left off with the live stream on this past Friday, nothing has changed as far as Bitcoin is concerned. Last we looked in, we said, all right, the Bitcoin bulls must confirm a 4-hour uptrend if we are going to see a daily bounce underway. And then we would zoom out and keep an eye out for a daily lower high. But at this point in time, we don't have that 4-hour uptrend. Over the weekend, we did sideways trading with nothing going on. We double topped and then just stayed range bound. And so the most important short-term resistance level is the double top at 30.5 thousand. And support is 29.7 and 29.4. So right now with where we stand in the short term, the question is, are we about to shape up a 4-hour lower high into consolidation to stay sideways? Because if that were to happen, we can stay sideways into tomorrow. And so looking at the 15-minute time frame, I've been watching this rising wedge type of setup. And we know to keep an eye out for a rising wedge when our bull breaks lack follow through. And I would say that we are potentially breaking bearish from it. And we could see here that we had bull break into consolidation, bull break into consolidation, bull break into consolidation. That's when you scout a wedge. And now it's a combination of patterns. It's a potential rising wedge, and it's a potential 15-minute head and shoulders. So if we bounce and fail the high and confirm a 15-minute downtrend, 4-hour consolidation will be underway. What I just did, it was fast. If you're newer to trading and technical analysis, you may have to slow down my talking to keep up with it. But that's the backbone of trading. We are anticipating what is a more likely scenario on the longer term time frame of the 4-hour, and we're zooming into the 15-minute to see if that is indeed shaping up. And we're watching for bearish patterns to shape up on the 15-minute, which would set a 4-hour lower high. Just like if we're looking for an hourly high or low, we're watching for a 5-minute trend change to try and shape up back to the bulls. So it's always important to determine what is the most important time frame to us as a trader. For me as a day trader, it's going to be the hourly or the 4-hour. For a swing trader, it's going to be the daily and the weekly. And then working from that point. Because that's the backbone of our analysis, is that time frame. And then we zoom in from there and look for the details that help us determine whether or not the most likely scenario is taking shape. So we'll keep an eye on this Bitcoin 15-minute pattern and see if it resolves itself while we're live streaming here. I wouldn't hold my breath for that to be the case because things are really slow in Bitcoin world right now. But with where we stand, we know that the altcoins have been weaker than Bitcoin for a fairly considerable amount of time, weeks at this point. And so we're at a point where there's a lot of altcoins showing us weekly lower highs as the most likely scenario. So we then zoom in from the weekly time frame and look at the daily charts to see if there's bearish patterns shaping up to show us those weekly lower highs are being set. And with where we are positioned right now, there's a lot of altcoin bears that are positioned well if Bitcoin breaks 29.4. If Bitcoin holds 29.4 and heads up over 31.5 to higher highs, these altcoin bears are not going to get very far. So it always goes back to Big Daddy Bitcoin and where that correlation is going to take us. But we can and will, at the end of this stream, identify the weaker altcoins that are already shaping up those weekly lower highs in their long-term weekly downtrends. The dominance chart for Bitcoin, nothing's really changing here. And we can see significant shift, nothing. So as long as the dominance chart is sideways and has small ranges and not much is going on, there's no real shakeup going on in the crypto space. When you've got these big follow-through moves or big daily candles, it's essentially things are being shaken up. I just imagine a snow globe. You're shaking it up and then watching where all the particles settle, and that shows us significant shifts taking place under the hood of the cryptocurrency sector. But we've been sideways for the last week plus, and so nothing is really going on there. So we're going to continue watching, but no information on the dominance chart for me over the last week. I keep talking about the dollar, and I'm going to keep talking about the dollar because we are on the verge of a bear break of this weekly equilibrium and tightening range that we've been watching for a significant period of time. If we break 101.92, which is being tested right now, that is reconfirming the bear control of the weekly downtrend, and we will then be looking at the lowest level. There's still a base down there of support, but we will be looking at the lowest level that we've seen in the last year plus of trading. It will be in play. So if the dollar breaks 178, the probabilities that Bitcoin can break 31.5 will increase. And if the dollar breaks resistance of 103.57, that will increase the probability that Bitcoin is going to see weekly consolidation. So keep an eye on the dollar, but crypto and commodity bulls are liking the weakness that the dollar is seeing right now. Key support test approaching. The crypto stocks continue to show us relative strength. MARA is just a stair step. Well, I won't use that term, but it looks like a staircase of a move up. That's what you want to see on an uptrend. And we're seeing a shift of relative strength and weakness where for weeks, Riot was weaker than MARA. And over the last 4 or 5 days, Riot is playing laggard catch-up. From this day, back on last Monday, things shifted. And just like we use our Bitcoin divided by, or altcoin divided by Bitcoin charts, we do Riot divided by MARA, which shows us it was way weaker and it has been stronger for 5 days in a row at this point. So that's just what I call intra-sector rotation, where you've got your lead bull in the crypto stock world of MARA, and it's not showing us weakness, but it's trading sideways today compared to Friday, while Riot is seeing continuation. So it's just rotation where the weaker name is playing catch up. And it's the same thing that we do with crypto. We see Bitcoin make a big bull move up. We watch for Bitcoin to trade sideways and not see any notable weakness. And then we look for the altcoins to play catch up. Riot, big move up, or MARA, big move up. Riot coming along. MARA sideways a bit. Riot playing catch up. Coin is weaker. Still holding on, still a daily uptrend, but it's red today, while the other crypto names are green. So if I had to rank them right now, again, it depends on what time frame you're talking about, but if you're talking about the last week of trading, Riot is the strongest, MARA is the second strongest, Coin is the weakest of those three. I know some people are watching BKKT, which is now playing its laggard action. This name doesn't have enough volume for me. It only trades $5 million a day right now, which is not even comparable to the hundreds of millions of dollars being traded in MARA and Riot, but it's playing laggard catch-up. It hit fresh lows, multi-month lows, on June 23rd. What was MARA doing June 23rd? It was already breaking out. So nice laggard play for those paying attention and those that like the small caps. So on to the altcoins now. Ethereum, we're cautious of a 2-day head and shoulders. So this is a possible setup, and actually Microsoft, unrelated, but Microsoft today is confirming a 2-day head and shoulders pattern that we've been watching since last week. Very different, but it just popped into my mind because it's the same 2-day head and shoulders. So the question is ETH going to confirm a 2-day head and shoulders pattern and have the bears take over the short term for the first time since we bottomed back in mid-June, or can bulls salvage from here? And again, it's going to depend on Bitcoin. Do we break 29.4 or do we break 31.5? And so it's possible that Bitcoin gets a daily bounce going. Let's say Bitcoin does confirm a 4-hour uptrend from here, gets the daily bounce going. It's possible Bitcoin just gives us a daily lower high, anything under 31.5. Let's see what the 2-day looks like on Bitcoin. So again, it's just a sideways range. And obviously we have two paths on how this sideways range is going to break, and they're going to look very different. And so if this sideways range in Bitcoin breaks bear, Ethereum is probably a head and shoulders. And if it doesn't, then it's probably not. And I know that's not entirely helpful, but we can have our laid out plan in advance. If Bitcoin breaks 29.4, I'm looking bearish on this coin and this coin. If Bitcoin breaks 31.5, I'm looking bullish on Bitcoin and this coin. You'll notice I didn't say looking bearish on Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin's dropping bearish, there's definitely better altcoins to choose that will have more downside. If Bitcoin breaks bullish, it's possible it's going to be one of the leaders to do so. So ETH-BTC has not confirmed a daily uptrend, which is why you hear me talking about trends until my head spins. Because you can see a nice bull move up, great, but if you do not confirm the trend change, it doesn't mean anything. And so we do not have confidence in this weekly falling wedge until we get a daily uptrend confirmed for a convincing bounce, just combine the words, let's save some time, for convincing that we're bouncing off this downtrending support line. So can the ETH bulls confirm the daily uptrend? Same thing, Litecoin, big daily pullback, stair step with a lower high every day, 7 days in a row now. We're scouting a higher low compared to 81.77, but it sure looks like the bulls have lost their momentum leading into the halvening in 3 weeks. Now we know with Litecoin that can change quickly. It took one day to change everything a couple weeks ago, but momentum is fading a bit. So we're scouting the higher low. We need a 4-hour trend change back to the bulls. Look at the EMA 12 guide. It's been perfection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rejections from 4-hour EMA 12 at this point. Get over it, and it's the first indication that our daily higher low is being set. Because of the size of this retracement, it helps us determine most likely scenarios. And because this retracement was over 50% and was almost 70%, that increases the probabilities that a daily lower high is going to be the most likely result of the next bounce and a tightening range. LTC, BTC, same thing. Great big bull move. Wow, impressive. Never confirmed the uptrend. We came straight off the low. If you cannot confirm an uptrend, you're going to pop and fade. And so we popped and faded. Can the bull salvage it? It's still possible, but we've got to see a higher low set, a big retracement. This is one way that I use fib retracements. So I can retrace, all right, we've already pulled back 70% of this bull move. That's a red flag for bulls. Next time we bounce, we can then measure that bounce. Does that bounce go 50% plus? If it does, we got a textbook equilibrium shaping up. If it doesn't, it's going to continue to favor the bears. Then it will be a possible bear flag. So use those fib retracements, and if you need more practice with them, look up our video, TheChartGuys Fibonacci's. I go over it in depth how I use them. And that's the summary, but I'll give better examples in that video. So the burden is on altcoin bulls. Let's just go down the list right now. The altcoin list, and look at where the weakness is. We know Ape has been weak. We've seen it as a lead bear. The NFT space is selling off. It's despair in the NFT space. Weekly bear flag confirmed, all-time lows. So Ape is a lead bear. No argument with that. Now we're watching who's setting weekly lower highs. SHIB is sideways, multiple weekly inside bars in a row. It's not a weekly lower high, but we know that volatility is coming to SHIB because it's tightening up for weeks at this point. Just like the dollar on the weekly time frame, it's the same thing, but this is the daily chart. This is going to break this week. How can I say that? Because I know that there's 6 trading days left in this weekly candle. And I should say I know there's 6 trading days left in this week. And I know you can't fit 6 candles in here. You know, you pull back for another 2, you bounce for 2, then there's nowhere to go. You're going to break one way or the other. So we know volatility is coming here. Binance is another one. Watch the equilibrium. You can go to the 2-day time frame if it smooths it out for you, but it's been forming for weeks at this point, almost a month. Top of the bounce, higher low, lower high, higher low. Anything under 255 is just another lower high. This is going to break sometime, probably this week. Doesn't have to be for Binance. There's a little bit more space to work with, but keeping an eye on things here. And Binance had some news. I'm not up with Binance fundamentals. Spike on Arkham Intel token launchpad news. But we know it was a news spike by the volume and the size, you know, the candle. And so, a response to Arkham Intel token launchpad, whatever that is. Congrats, bulls, because it had an impact here. So 2-day tightening range on SHIB and Binance. So that tells me if I'm a day trader in the crypto space, I write down those 2 names next to my computer to remind myself, keep checking in on those names. I can write down the key levels, the key support that would break the equilibrium, the key resistance that would break the equilibrium. I can set alerts for those levels on my Trading Pro account. And I know that these will be trades to be had sometime in the coming days. A lot of people ask about, market prep for a full-time trader. How do you know what trades to be taking? I just laid out trades that are worth watching for days from now. I'm not going to utilize that information today. We're very unlikely to break these levels today. But it's just a conveyor belt of trades. Oh, tightening daily ranges, those are going to be coming up. Tightening weekly ranges, they're a bit further out. Tightening monthly ranges, even further out. But I know to keep an eye on them because eventually they're going to break. I've been watching this MNMD, again, unrelated, psychedelic stock. I've been watching this weekly equilibrium for literally the entire year and acted on it on Friday. So it was 6 months of watching to set up one trade. Now, am I watching it every day? Am I sinking my time into it every day? No. I glance at it. All right, rest of the altcoins. So who has set weekly lower highs? Well, Sand officially has. Any name that broke the low of last week. And again, we have to balance our expectations because we can be bullish Bitcoin. And right now I'm unsure about Bitcoin. We can easily see weekly consolidation shape up. But you can be bullish Bitcoin, but still watching for bearish trade opportunities in alts. Because again, so many of them, the most likely scenario over the last month has been a weekly lower high as the result of this bounce. And a lot of them are forming those weekly lower highs. APT, right off weekly EMA 12. Shaping up that lower high. Link, not officially set yet, but close. Any name that broke the low of last week, these weekly lower highs are shaping up. Look at how many of these altcoins rejected right off weekly EMA 12. Doge rejected there. Sushi didn't get close. But again, just go down the list and watch all the names potentially shaping up weekly lower highs that rejected from weekly EMA 12. Atom, right off weekly EMA 12. Let's zoom in. Atom is a potential head and shoulders. If the head and shoulders confirms, the weekly lower high is set, rejecting from weekly EMA 12. I was watching Matic for a potential 12-hour rising wedge. Let's see if we reject right now, if this Matic bull move that just took place over this morning, if we top out here, it means keep watching this rising wedge. And this 12-hour rising wedge would then mark the weekly lower high, if it is indeed a rising wedge. I need to see a rejection from this uptrending resistance line for me to confidently say so. That said, there's much weaker altcoins out there than Matic after this move. So I would need to be an experienced bearish crypto trader if I were going to be looking to short Matic into this resistance. 30-minute stair step. Hourly stair step. Worth keeping an eye on. Waves has been very volatile. I haven't really been covering Waves because of its lack of liquidity. And you can see that on full display with some of these candles. It's a lead bull today, but double top at 289 to the penny. And again, look at how we hit 289. It was just straight up. I mean, it's a lot of volume. I mean, that is millions of dollars, but it all depends. If you like low cap volatility, keep an eye on Waves, that's for sure. We've been keeping an eye on Sol. Sol showed us some relative strength last week. Let's see where we stand here. So Sol has daily consolidation underway. We hit hourly oversold just barely, well, probably not even. At the low of today, that hourly RSI got down to maybe 31.32. And so the bulls are hoping that that marks the daily higher low. That would essentially be a front run hourly oversold back burner marking a daily higher low, which would keep bulls in control. But we've got to confirm a 4-hour uptrend to have confidence that a daily higher low is being set. That said, there's not many altcoins whose BTC pairings are in daily uptrends right now. And so we can see that this chart, the Sol BTC chart and the Sol USDT chart, look the exact same. They're in the spotlight. This is what bulls want to see. And they both want to shape up that daily higher low. The sooner the better to keep that control. So on the bull side of things, keeping an eye on Bitcoin and Sol. Keeping an eye on Binance to see if this move turns into an equilibrium bull break. On the bear side, there's many more names to choose from in the altcoin space. But again, the underlying asterisk is, I'm bearish. Let's just pick any name. I'm bearish sand because it's a weekly downtrend. The asterisk is you've got to see Bitcoin break 29.4 for the weekly lower high to have any follow through on the sand ticker, on the sand coin. So we can establish relative strength, relative weakness. Where am I looking long? Where am I looking short? And then the direction that Bitcoin breaks this sideways range dictates which of those groupings are going to be the right one to be looking at. And the Bitcoin sideways range can go on for a good part of this week. If the bulls do get a daily bounce going, we could bounce for a day or two and then pull back for a day. And next thing you know, we're looking at the end of the week. But the burden's on bulls in the short term here to confirm a 4-hour uptrend to try and remain sideways within this range. And then in the short term, we'll see if this ends up being a 15-minute head and shoulders or not. DOT. So DOT, BTC, 2-day time frame for clarity. It's one of the weaker names. Look at the weekly chart. Is there anything on this weekly chart that makes you bullish? The answer should be no, because it's as clear a downtrend as there can be. And we can say absolutely nothing has changed from the complete bear control of this chart over the last 8 months. More than that, 12, 11 months, whatever it's been. So we know that DOT has been weaker than Bitcoin significantly for a long time. Now let's look at the US dollar pairing. Weekly time frame, there's a little resistance at 556 that we broke, but for me, anything under $7 is a weekly lower high. And we're watching to see is a weekly lower high about to be set. And the answer is, if we break the low of 497, the weekly lower high is set. Now the bulls did just defend that level this morning, and that was good defense. Let's see if they can turn it into offense with a confirmed 4-hour uptrend to have confidence that that level can hold. But again, it's another 2-day potential head and shoulders, just like ETH, where anything under 564 is just a lower high. And if we were to confirm a head and shoulders here, that's the weekly lower high being set. So we haven't set the weekly lower high on DOT yet, but there is a path forward where even if we do have a couple green days in a row, the bulls are not going to be out of the woods because it is a potential bearish pattern shaping up the weekly lower high. Best case for the bulls is the dollar to clearly break the weekly equilibrium and for Bitcoin to head back up to 31.5. Best case for the bears is these weekly altcoin lower highs being set and Bitcoin breaks 29.4. What's the most likely of those two? I don't have an edge in determining that in the short term. I can favor a falling wedge bull break for a 2-week high or low and have some confidence that that's more likely than not. But with the current sideways range, I don't have confidence. It's a 50-50 for me. We can very easily break bear into weekly consolidation. We can very easily hold support and see another leg up. With how many shorts? I mean, we know that there's a bunch of shorts that have their stops in the upper 31,000s because of how many times we've rejected from that range. And so we know that, if we do get up there, we can definitely see a pop to 32 and beyond. But at this point, the trouble is getting back up to that resistance level, which is currently 4% away. Checking back in on the stock market real quick to see where we stand. Bulls still keeping their control. Little mini, very brief hourly consolidation with no bear follow through. So I'm not going to have much time for questions today. I got to get back and manage some trades here, but keep it simple. Determine what time frame is most important to you. Determine a game plan for both scenarios, a Bitcoin bear break into weekly consolidation, a Bitcoin bull break into a higher high. And then we just patiently wait for Bitcoin to show us, this is the direction we're going to go the second half of July. And we will get that information probably within the next week, but it can definitely take us sideways into this current weekend. So we definitely don't want to be over trading if Bitcoin is still sideways. Essentially, it's just waiting for Bitcoin at this point. And that is that. I appreciate you tuning in. We definitely know there's a bunch of longs with stops right below 29.4. That is for sure as well. Good point. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to do good things. And next live stream this Wednesday, I'll do a bit more interacting with you all, answering questions, taking requests and all that. But I got to deal with my own stuff right now. Thanks again. Do good.